ReleaseWire helps businesses connect with interested journalists and bloggers. Check out the link in the description to save 25% on your first press release.
Admiral, radar shows that we have liberals approaching at 3 o'clock, and libertarians at 9 o'clock, and conservatives at 6 o'clock. They're coming from every angle, every viewpoint. Oh, it's Political Radar with your hosts, Rhonda and Elliot.
Hey, all you political junkies. Welcome to Political Radar, the best 30 minutes of unscripted, uncensored political talk you will hear all day. Episode 32, and we have Pat Evans of the Brown County Board. Welcome.
Good morning. Welcome.
Glad to have you on. So the county board, so much happening.
Yeah, there's always stuff happening in the on the county board, so that's what makes it enjoyable to be on the county board.
How long have you been on the county board?
14 years.
Wow.
If you can't just answer, it's too long.
No,
Term limits.
No, I disagree with term limits. I disagree.
I'm sure you do, 14 years.
No, people, elect the people that they want, and if it's 2 years or if it's 30 years, then the people get, the people get what they deserve. Elect the people who they want, and then they deal with whatever the consequences are of that person's actions.
So what is, let's do some fluffy stuff first. So what is the, why are you doing this? What is the best thing about being a supervisor?
The parking pass that I get from the city that we can park, basically anywhere we want. So that's really cool. Now that I said that, they'll take that away from us too. No, for me, there's been a lot of really just wonderful things. The first is that I actually live in the district that I grew up in. So I get to represent a lot of the people that I've known for basically my whole life. I represent the northwest side of the city of Green Bay on the county board. So for people that know Green Bay, I've got Taylor Street to the west, Mason Street to the south, come up Oneida Street. It shifts around a little bit, but basically everything north of there and a couple little streets south of there. But I've always been a person that has felt that I should give something back and be involved. And, in high school I was involved, not besides sports and then just different clubs, same within college. And then, in my professional life, was involved outside of work and do a lot of things with our church and just looked at the opportunity to represent people on the county board. I think for me, it's been a great opportunity, a great calling, and I very much appreciate the opportunity that the people of District 9 have given me to represent them. And I'm a lot of when my girlfriend and I go to shopping, I always have to take my own cart because when I'm in the store, people stop me all the time, and I get people that stop me on all sorts of issues. And then one time it was kind of funny. One time we were shopping and at the grocery store, and a supervisor that I won't name, but probably nobody knows anyways, had his supervisor badge on and had his name because they give us badges. A lot of the people that nobody knows wear them, but the Evanses, the Zimma, the Nicholsons, the Dwaynes, the people that are known.
You're infamous.
We don't wear, infamous. But the reason that is, and so I asked him, I said, were you at a function? Oh, no. And I said, well, what's with the name badge? Well, people need to know I'm a supervisor. I said, yeah, the clerk is going to be impressed with that, So, So the people that know us, because I'm one of the supervisors, and I feel I work very hard at what I do. We get our $7,800 a year or whatever it is. And, when Streckenbach ran, he said, the county board just has to go to, 2 meetings a month. Well, that's true. And there are some supervisors that probably only attend their one committee meeting and then they go to a county board meeting. But there's some of us that take it serious, and I too take the job very serious. And I represent the people, and I've taken it on. Number one is that I represent the people of District 9 in my district. I take that very serious. And then number two, certainly the rest of Brown County. But over the years, especially being in human services, I've found that I want to represent the people who don't have a voice. So I represent the children who've been sexually assaulted and abused. They don't have a voice. I represent the adults who are developmentally disabled because they don't have a voice. And I've been fortunate to do some very good work. I've received some great awards. We started the Child Abuse and Neglect Task Force. I was the Community Impact Award recipient from United Way, a recipient for the Partnership for Children for what I've done, and the finalist for the Press Gazette Person of the Year twice for the work I've done for people who are developmentally disabled. So I take it very serious, and I think if I can use my position as a supervisor to help the people who don't have a voice, I'm going to do that.
Okay, so getting to that's a good segue. So you recently have been criticizing the process for what happened with Corporation Counsel.
Correct.
And what went down there. So she recently spoke out and basically made her case.
Yep.
So tell us about that.
Well, the first thing is that Juliana Runzel and Troy Streckenbach didn't get along. And if you look at the Streckenbach administration, you'll see that he's gone through about 15 department heads so far. I don't know how many secretaries he's gone through. We just had the deputy county executive resign again. That's been 3 in a year. I mean, the last one resigned in April, and now Scott Machogovich, or whatever his last name was, sorry about that pronunciation, he just resigned. And they always resign, and it's always an email and says, well, I enjoyed working here, but I'm going to move on, and today's my last day. So it's unfortunate. Streckenbach, he always champions keeping taxes down, but he has a real difficult time managing people. We hear this from all sorts of department heads that have left at Telesys, and here's another example. So Runzel had started to implement some discipline into the department with some of the employees. And
that would be known as breastgate.
Well, whatever you want to call it.
That's what
we're calling it, breastgate.
You're calling it breastgate. Well,
and for people that maybe don't know,
I think it'd be more like lactation.
Okay, lactation gate. So if people don't understand what's happening, let's talk about that. So they don't know necessarily.
Ratings. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Let's explain, because there are some people that may not know if they're listening. So when we refer to breastgate, lactation gate,
there was a lady, an employee that was expressing milk, and
was it just one employee, or was there more than one?
Well, see, things get really cloudy as far as some of the information we have. Some of it has to remain we had it in closed session,
which is fascinating, by the way, isn't that all that money went to pay out this person and taxpayer money, and we didn't know what was going on.
Well, that's Troy Streckenbach. See, there's a lot of things that the public doesn't know about, and the media doesn't report on it because it can be complicated, just like Mr. Welsing and Mr. Elfing that were terminated. But what happened is Miss Runzel decided to start some indiscipline in the department. The employees got upset by it.
What kind of discipline? I mean, because that's a very vague term.
Well, the employees weren't producing their correct work. They weren't coming in on time. They were, leaving early, just standard personnel issues. And so she wrote some people up. And when she did that, 4 days later, then there was a complaint against her. She denies it. I've talked to her.
And the complaint was that
she was harassing the people, or the employee who was expressing milk. She had actually, on her side of the story, and it's documented, she went to Human Resources, asked, what the policies were on what can take place in the work, or what can happen in the workplace. And she followed those procedures. Then she finds out that, they necessarily incorrect. And, she even said she'd apologize to the employee. The employee said, no, I don't want an apology. So it's a little convoluted, but...
how do we get to her walking away with $61,000?
Well, see, in the state statutes, it talks about how if there is a removal of the county, of the corporation counsel, the county board needs to be aware of it. Streckenbach wanted to get rid of her. Mind you, Human Resources did an investigation. They couldn't find anything wrong. So then Streckenbach goes out and hires a Madison attorney group without telling the county board or anything like that. We didn't elect a dictator here, but it's being managed like a dictatorship. That's a problem. So he goes out. They kind of find some stuff. They really don't have anything. Then they tell us in closed session, well, we had to get rid of her because it's a risk management issue. I said, okay, well, what kind of risk management issue? I want to get some specifics here. Well, it's risk management. I ask again. I appreciate this, but there's 10 different types of areas in risk management that we can talk about. What is it? It's risk management. I have a Master of Science of Organizational Leadership and Quality from Marian University. I have a master's degree in risk management. I work with companies throughout the world on risk management issues. They're all different specifics. They wouldn't give us anything. So it was just, they wanted to get rid of her. They started negotiating with her. They went back and forth. Finally, they get her $61,000. I kept on asking, where is Miss Runzel? Where's our corporation counsel? Never any answers. Finally, at the county board meeting, I pressed Streckenbach, where's the corporation counsel? She's on leave, nothing else, no personal, no anything, leave. I sent a formal email requesting information. The next day, they said, Miss Runzel has resigned. That was it, nothing. And then about 2 months later, we find out, she got a $61,000 payment. It's bad business.
So now what? Who's there? Is there someone to replace her?
We have Christine Hooker, who's the interim corporation counsel. It's all public knowledge. I hope people go and put her up on CCAP and look at her. We hire attorneys to take advice from. So I don't know how excited I'm going to be to take her advice when you start seeing what she's done. And then, of course, I talked to other attorneys in the area. But she's big buddies with Streckenbach. The understanding is that he likes to go into her office every day, and they sit and they shoot the breeze for whatever they do, and they shut the doors and talk for an hour. I mean, that's well known throughout the county, so I don't know what's going on. It's unfortunate, but we'll see what they're going to do with the new corporation counsel, and we got to approve it on the county board.
So is that dead now?
With Runzel?
Yes. Is the issue, is it dead?
She resigned and she got her payout, so I'd like to have an AG's opinion on, if he did the right thing or not. I would like to have had an outside investigation, but the county board has to would have to fund that and have to support that.
And did you ask for that?
I did ask for some outside, but the county board just sometimes is.
Was it actually discussed on the floor? Just to fund that?
I'm trying to think. I'm going to ask the. We discussed a little bit at executive, but it doesn't go anywhere.
It didn't go anywhere.
I mean, remember now the county board is fragmented. You have a lot of people on the county board that don't understand their job. They don't understand that we have 3 branches of government. There's the executive, judicial, and legislative. And you get some people that are on the legislative branch that want to be part of the executive branch. They don't understand their job as far as how they represent the government. So they're all big buddies with Streckenbach. And I don't disagree with Troy on everything, there's things, but I am a part of the legislative body. And he doesn't control the legislative body, but some people think he does. Well, he's the executive. I don't care if he's the executive. We've got the same amount of power, but it's a different type of power. But
so let's move on, because it feels like that is come and gone. And
yeah, that's gone.
So tonight you're actually going to be discussing something pretty significant.
Yep.
And you're bringing back, there's a man that has passed away that was an employee of the county.
There were 2 employees, Mr. Welsing and Mr. Elfing. They had been terminated by the county. They had been terminated without Mr. Paul Van Noy, who was the county the county highway commissioner or director. The human resources goes in, terminates these guys. Mr. Van Noy, the director of the county highway department, says, what's going on? He goes to Troy Streckenbach's office. He says, you fired my 1 and 2 guys, and says, what's going on here? And they get into it. There's, these guys have had good human research, no problems in the past. They were good employees. The director of the airport said, well, if you fire one, I'll take them over here. They're well known. Streckenbach says no. Van Noy says, this is crazy. I'm in charge of the department, and these are my employees. I don't know where you're coming for this. Well, I'm the county executive. Van Noy literally resigns right there in the meeting. And there was a lot more that went on than I can say. But Van Noy just puts on a piece of paper, says, I resign. This is kind of, listen, we have a dictatorship going on here. especially with the employees. Start asking the employees what's going on. These are just, there's tons of different, we've got the other lawsuit that's coming. So Mr. Welsing and Mr. Elfing get fired.
Yeah.
They go into an independent hearing officer to contest this. The county board upheld the Mr. Elfing's termination. I disagreed with that as well. The independent hearing officer.
What was he fired for?
Profanity.
Where?
On the job. So, and some of it's a 600-page document. The county went in. The independent hearing officers in the document says it seemed as if the county was on a mission to terminate these two employees. He said, I disagree with the termination because I feel it was too heavy, maybe some disciplinary action, but because Wisconsin is an employment at will state, then you can uphold the termination from the county, and that's kind of what it came through. But the county starts off with all these different things that these guys did so horrendous, and little by little they get thrown out. Isn't
Wisconsin a right-to-work state?
Correct, employment at will.
Right.
To work.
Yeah. So the
employer can.
So talk about that.
Employer can say you're fired. Why? Because you're fired. That's how it works in Wisconsin. They don't need to give you anything, And if you have to prove it. If you're in a protected class, of things like that, elderly, disabled, minority, but that's how it works. So the hearing officer says, well, the county was in their correct jurisdiction. It was legal for them to terminate them. But when you look at things, even in the documents, it shows how Streckenbach in his meetings uses profanity. Lynn Van den Langenberg was a great person. She was one of our, I think, 6 human resources directors under Troy Streckenbach so far that left. Are
we talking F-bombs? Or
a lot of different things. Okay. A lot of different things. It's not just the little ones. It's and that's all documented in there. But so now tonight, Mr. Welsing passed away, stress, heart attack. He was so distraught from being terminated that his family is asking if we could.
Are you suggesting that he died because he was fired?
That's what the family says, and he died of stress on his heart. So I'm not a physician. I didn't read the medical records.
It's a little bit creepy to talk about this man because he's not living. But so I read through some of these documents, and so he liked to use the N-word a lot.
It was, I'm not condoning anything that he did.
But that's not profanity. That's an entirely different thing, right?
It's inappropriate, right. But if we're going to start terminating all sorts of people for things. Now, he did go in and he apologized to the family or to the gentleman.
Where did you say this? Where was the N-word again? Where was he saying it?
I think he was just using it in generalities. And then one of the employees said, hey, I've got a adopted, I think it was a son or something, or adopted child. And he said, sorry about that.
I have a child who's black. Can you please not use that language?
And when that happened? That was like 4 years ago. So now all of a sudden, it takes 4 years to terminate somebody for that? No, that should have been handled right then and there and things like that.
So why do you think it took 4 years?
There's all these rumors that are out there and that they didn't like these two. These guys were the managers, and some of the employees didn't like them, and we understand. I don't know if Streckenbach didn't care for them or whatever. I don't know, but that's inappropriate for it to take that long.
Okay, so you said it's inappropriate to use the N-word.
Yep.
Okay, but do you believe that that's something that someone should be fired for? Especially in this day and age, that's a pretty
this day
strong,
and age. I listen to. I have Sirius XM, and I listen to the what is it? The rap stations. I'm there. I'm trying to think what they are. There's 2 of them, and I hear it being used constantly in songs and things like that, and. So yeah, I don't agree with that.
But you're like listening. Yeah, to music. So if you're actually at work, I don't know. It should be okay to use that word.
No, absolutely not.
Okay,
absolutely not. No, I think there should have been discipline action taken,
and there wasn't.
There was not.
So it just went straight from, we heard this to you're fired.
No, it didn't. It went. We heard this 4 years ago. We had a discussion with Human Resources. He apologized. I believe he had stopped using it. And now it's brought up in a hearing where there was, that should have been taken care of 4 years ago.
Okay, so flash forward.
Let's get forward.
Let's go forward.
Yeah.
So tonight you're going to discuss this. You want to clear his name. How do you plan to do that?
You can say you can reinstate him in his position without any pay benefits, you could say that we're reinstating him. We disagree with the independent hearing officer's support of the county, but we're not going to give him any back pay. We're not going to give him any vacation pay. We're not going to give him any life insurance. He can retain his retirement because he's already paid into it. So, and then that's it.
And so,
and
what is that? Is that for the family typically?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you have the votes for that?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
That's
really
too bad.
That is too bad.
Doesn't sound right.
Yeah, you should hear some of the things that are said in closed session by some supervisors. And it's very derogatory. Not Guy Zima, who's also, by the way, because sometimes people pick on Guy for being derogatory. Guy has been very supportive of the Welsing family, and so have I. And so is Bernie Erickson and Kathy LaFave. All of us kind of sit in the front. But some of these people who come off as all this peace-loving, wanting to be everybody's friend, and then they say things in closed session, and we all say, why don't you be a man enough to say that in public session, and they don't. So some very, very, very terrible things that I think are very inappropriate.
Do you expect to have opposition to this tonight? Will there be people there literally speaking against this?
I'd be surprised. There'll be people speaking on behalf of Mr. Welsing's.
So why don't you think you have the votes for that?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the people that are voting against it. It seems simple, and it seems
what's
like
their
the right
argument?
thing to do.
If you're going to vote against that, what's their argument?
I don't know. A lot of them are, falling with Streckenbach, and this is the county said this, and we've got to do this and that. And I don't know.
Has this ever been done before? Is this kind of an unprecedented thing?
No. The people, somebody died?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember this in my 14 years of having someone pass away and then reinstate them. I've been on the executive committee for 12 years, and we've had, employees that have been terminated, and they've come forward, and we've upheld them, or we've reinstated them.
So you've done this, but it's just the difference is this person is not living.
That's correct.
Okay. So, slightly different topic.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Bang it out.
I'm curious as to just very quickly your thoughts on what kind of went down with Alex Galt. You familiar with that situation? So he came in second place in the election, and Tom Caters resigned a couple weeks into his tenure, and then the county board gets to appoint someone to fill that seat. What are your thoughts on that? Is that cool? Is that fishy?
It's the first of all, the county board chairman has a process, and he picks out the person through the interview process, and then he puts that person up to the county board. It's kind of their prerogative to do that, and it's more of we support it because that's the process that we have. It's similar with the county executive puts up there. Sometimes we have a little bit of upset. I will say I would have been in support of Mr. Galt. I have never met the man. And when people put their name on a ballot and then they go and then they go out and they campaign and they run and they get beat.
But he got a lot of votes. He had a lot of support.
Yeah.
Yes. And my point is that because he went through all that work and the other people who applied for it didn't, then he should have been appointed.
So let's change that. Let's change that process.
That's not going to change.
Well,
go talk to the people in the state.
Well, it is it's up to the county board. The county board can change.
Yeah, the county board could vote the appointment down and send it back. I'd be surprised if that happened.
So are you saying the county board couldn't change that process at all?
No, the process is the process. That's how it works through the state statutes. How we could have rectified this situation, if there would have been a rectification, would be by voting down the other candidate. But that's what we elect our chairman to do, is to make these decisions, to go through and to vet the people. Now, we don't have to necessarily agree with them, but that's kind of how it works. So
okay. So you said you're against term limits.
I am against term limits.
Yeah, because you think that people should be voted in, and so
yeah. I don't know. I bust my butt for the people of my district. I bust my butt for the people of Brown County. I bust my butt for the children who've been children who've been assaulted, and and adults with developmental disabilities. I mean, so I should just be put out because I've put enough time in. I disagree with that at all. I mean, if I'm out there in my district and I'm working hard for the people in my district and they like me, what's wrong with that? I mean, I take a lot of shots, being a county board supervisor. I have people that come up to me. I was out for dinner and having drinks at the bar before and this woman looks at me, she goes, "You're Pat Evans?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, you suck." And I'm like, "Well, thanks." I said, "What's your issue?" And she's like, something. I didn't even know what the hell it was, about something with sex offenders. And I'm like, well, we don't even deal with that. And I said, well, I think you're misunderstood or whatever. And, but I'm like, come on, but it is what it is. So, I mean, we take the good with the bad. And
so we're basically out of time. You have any last thoughts you'd like to share? Goes quick.
No, I just appreciate the opportunity. If anybody that's seeing this has any questions, they can certainly contact me on the Brown County website. I have my email on there, and I'd be more than happy to respond to any questions or issues or topics that they have. I always respond to people, even if they're not in my district or not even in the county. I've had people but certainly believe that the position of a county supervisor is to represent the people. And to do that, you need to make sure that you respond back. And I'll give everybody an honest answer. You may not like what you hear, but I'll tell you I'll base it on facts. And
I have a question.
Yep.
So you don't seem to have a lot of love for Troy Streckenbach. That's pretty evident.
Yeah.
So would you run for county executive?
It's you have to see where you are in life. I've got my family issues. My dad has Alzheimer's. We're doing things with that. So take care of my mother. I've got a great job, and I like being a county board supervisor. So I may run.
And no mayor. Mayor's off the table as well.
I don't know. It's the issue is that you want to. I will take a look at that when it comes forward. This is interesting. I have both the Democrat and Republican parties that have come to me and said, "Oh, geez, we want you to run for state legislature."
The Democrats approached you?
Absolutely. There's a lot of the mantras I support. I support labor. I think labor is very important. Not just union labor, but I do support the unions, and I do support the non-union workers. My dad was a laborer. I support people who work for a living. Sorry, I banged the table. But I support people who work for a living, and I think that's very important. I think sometimes the Republicans have forgotten about those people. And I also support, a lot of the human services issues that I feel are important. I don't say that I disagree with it takes a village to raise a child. I don't think that's important. I don't think that's appropriate. But I do believe that there are areas that the government needs to step in and spend money on human services issues like mental health court, like substance abuse, like children being sexually assaulted. In the state of Wisconsin, if you sexually assault a child and you go to prison, it's mandatory that you get counseling. If you're a child and you're sexually assaulted in Wisconsin, it is not mandatory that you get counseling. See, those are things that drive me crazy. And sometimes, the Republicans have gotten off site by saying, "Oh, I just want to reduce taxes, cut government." And then the Democrats, unfortunately, on the other side saying, "We've got to do everything for everybody. We got to give everybody free stuff and just blah, blah, blah." And it drives me nuts. And I've told this to both the Democrats and Republicans, when myself and Dr. Jay Tibbetts, who's my treasurer and chairman, we met with him. I said, "You don't want me." I said to both sides, "You don't want me. I appreciate coming in." "Well, why not?" I said, "Because I'm going to be down in Madison, and we're going to go into a caucus, and you're going to say, you have to vote this way on this issue, and you have to vote this way on this issue." And I'm going to say, "No, I disagree."
I smell a libertarian.
And then what happens is, then they're going to say, "Oh, well, you don't follow us, then we're going to get somebody to run against you in a primary. We're not going to get you all this money." And I'll say, "Go pound sand," because I don't care, because I do represent the people. I'm not in it for the money, I tell you that. And I'm not in it for the fame. I'm in it because it is really the right thing to do for the people. And we have a great government, and sometimes we forget about the representation that we have for the people. And I take this job very serious. I take the responsibility of representing people very serious, and I enjoyed doing it.
Okay. On that note, I want to thank ReleaseWire. ReleaseWire is a powerful media engagement service connecting businesses to interested journalists and bloggers. ReleaseWire is an effective and affordable way to get the word out about your business. As a fan of Political Radar, we have a special offer for you. Distribute your first on-demand press release with ReleaseWire and save 25%. Visit releasewire.com/politicalradar or click on the link in the video description to learn more. ReleaseWire, from release to results. And thank you, Pat Evans, for coming in. Can't wait to have you back on. I think we opened up a whole bunch of things that we could talk a lot more about.
Man, we could talk about the 0.5% sales tax, the Brown County Arena, the Resch Center. We can talk, or the Shopko Hall. We can talk about this $22 million pod for the jails that we have going on.
Teasers.
Talk about the talk about all sorts of things.
So for show notes on this episode, you can go to politicalradar.com/32. And you can look me up on Twitter at Elliot. I'm also on Facebook. You should also get into the Political Radar community.
And you can find me at Sitnicow on Twitter and Facebook as well.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Political Radar. To ensure that you never miss an episode, subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. To stay up to date, visit politicalradar.com or connect with us on Facebook or Twitter.